Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiriye Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhakta Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtaki. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, Karma Yoga, text number 16 onwards. Evam pravartitam chakram nanu vartayati yah aghayurindriya rama mogham partha sajivati. My dear Arjun, one who does not follow in human life the cycle of sacrifice, thus established by the Vedas. It's not just one can make up his own sacrifices. Established by the Vedas, certainly leads a life full of sin. Living only for the satisfaction of the senses, such a person lives in vain. The Mammonist philosophy of work very hard and enjoy sense gratification is condemned here by the Lord. People say, no, just cow, pio, geo, that's a life. Or work hard and enjoy your senses. No. Therefore, for those who want to enjoy this material world, the above mentioned cycle of performing yajnas is absolutely necessary. I mean, nobody says don't enjoy, but how to enjoy that we have to see. One who does not follow such regulations is living a very risky life, being condemned more and more. By nature's law, this human form of life is specifically meant for self-realization in either of the three ways, namely Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, or Bhakti Yoga. There is no necessity of rigidly following the performances of the prescribed yajnas or the transcendentalists who are above vice and virtue. But those who are engaged in sense gratification require purification by the above-mentioned cycle of yajna performances. There are different kinds of activities. Those who are not Krishna conscious are certainly engaged in sensory consciousness. Therefore, they need to execute pious work. The yajna system is planned in such a way that sensory conscious persons may satisfy their desires without becoming entangled in the reaction of sense gratificatory work. The persons may satisfy their desires. So desires have to be satisfied. We are not tapasvis that we're going to go in the Himalayas. And definitely Krishna is giving all this knowledge to Arjun. Arjun wanted to run away from the battlefield. But Krishna is like, no, you work for my means, work as a yajna. Right now he's not serving for my satisfaction. But this yajna, sacrifice, has to be done. And this will satisfy your desires. The prosperity of the world depends not on our own efforts, but on the background arrangement of the Supreme Lord, directly carried out by the demigods. The prosperity of the world does not depend on our own work or on own efforts, but on the background arrangement of the Supreme Lord, directly carried out by the demigods. So that's how the world is going to become prosperous. No matter what else we do, we'll always fail in every effort otherwise. So we think we can remove hunger, or we can remove famine, we can remove this or that from the earth. Not going to happen. It can only happen if the Supreme Lord is pleased and he works through the demigods to give us whatever we want. Therefore, the yajnas are directly aimed at the particular demigods mentioned in the Vedas. Indirectly, it's a practice of Krishna consciousness, because when one masters the performance of yagyas, one is sure to become Krishna conscious. But if by performing yagyas, one does not become Krishna conscious, such principles are counted as only moral codes. One should not therefore limit his progress only to the point of moral codes, but should transcend them to attain Krishna consciousness. So yagya means to satisfy Vishnu. That's it, by our work. Havan is one kind of yagya. But for Havan, the problem is we have to have proper Brahmins who can chant the mantras to the right meter, actually. Every word, every syllable of that mantra is important, chanting properly. Otherwise, it can give opposite results. And also for the Homa or Havan, the proper, pure Havan Samagri has to be there. Problem is both are not available. Those Brahmins who can chant properly and the Samagri. So how can we say that yagya is proper? So generally, yagya people mean that Havan yagya. That's it. They don't understand. Nam Sankirtan yagya is more powerful, especially for Kali Yuga. But yagya has to be done. That is for sure. Yagya means activity to please Vishnu or Krishna. But the final effect of the yagya should be one should become Krishna conscious, not just by doing lip service. Okay, Havan, I've seen Havan is done. While doing Havan, people who are attending, okay, the host who is there, he might be a little serious, but others are not at all serious. And during Havan, they are eating some things in the back or drinking. That's all going on during Havan. That's not at all the proper way. And obviously the Pandit is also not proper. Or Brahman who's doing, he doesn't know himself what exactly it is. So it doesn't make sense. So nobody becomes Krishna conscious afterwards. But the Sankirtan yagya, if one does properly, one becomes Krishna conscious, and by this yagya, Krishna is pleased. Because this is what he wants us to do in Kali Yuga. Not that we make up our own yagyas. And this all Krishna is telling to Arjun. So Arjun fights the war. That you do this yagya. Or yagya has to be done. Yas tvatma ratireva syadatm triptascha manava atmani evcha santushtas tasya karyam na vidyate. But for one who takes pleasure in the self, whose human life is one of self-realization, and who is satisfied in the self only, fully satiated, for him there is no duty. But that pleasure in the self, it doesn't mean I'm happy with my life, with the way it is going. I go to job or do my business, I make money, and I go to clubs, and I'm satisfied with myself. No, it doesn't mean that. A person who is fully Krishna conscious and is fully satisfied by his acts in Krishna consciousness no longer has any duty to perform. A person who is fully Krishna conscious and is fully satisfied by his acts in Krishna consciousness no longer has any duty to perform. Due to his being Krishna conscious, all impiety within is instantly cleansed, an effect of many, many thousands of yagya performances. By such clearing of consciousness, one becomes fully confident of his eternal position in relationship with the Supreme. His duty thus becomes self-eliminated by the grace of the Lord, and therefore he no longer has any obligations to the Vedic injunctions. Such a Krishna conscious person is no longer interested in material activities and no longer takes pleasure in material arrangements like wine, women, and similar infatuation. So, yes, for such a person who's already in Krishna consciousness and completely satisfied, he doesn't need to do anything. But later on, Krishna himself says, Yadyadacharti Shveshtas. Howsoever a leader works, the common people imitate him or follow him. So a person who is fully Krishna conscious or who is fully devoted is already a leader. He is also a leader. So people will not follow his Krishna conscious activities, but people will follow that he doesn't do his other duties, so we don't have to do it. So to set an example in the society, he still does his duties, but he doesn't need to, because he doesn't need to gain anything. No, he doesn't need to do any so-called yagyas or this or that. He's fully Krishna conscious because this is the goal of yagya. And definitely he's not at all interested in material arrangements, like, as Prabhupada says, like wine, women, and other similar infatuations. He's completely satisfied in the self. Nevatasya krite nartho, na krite ne kashana, na chasya sarva bhuteshu kashid artha vipashreya. A self-realized man has no purpose to fulfill in the discharge of his prescribed duties, nor has he any reason not to perform such work, nor has he any need to depend on any other living being. A self-realized man is no longer obliged to perform any prescribed duty, save and except activities in Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is not inactivity either, as will be explained in the following verses. A Krishna conscious man does not take shelter of any person, man or demigod. Whatever he does in Krishna consciousness is sufficient in the discharge of his obligation. So this is a Krishna conscious man or a Krishna conscious person. He does not take shelter of any other person, man or demigod, because he has completely taken shelter of Krishna. But it's not inactivity. That means he doesn't like sit at home. Of course, there are examples like Rishabdev Maharaj. We studied in Srimad Bhagavatam. He left home and he followed Ajagar Vritti. But that is very high position. You're not imitating that either. So it doesn't mean inactivity, but he's a devotee or Krishna conscious man is not interested in worldly activities either. Just like everybody thinks we can enjoy by doing all sorts of nonsense activities, by going to the bars and clubs. That is our enjoyment, and making more and more money and just going for vacation trips. This, just like many times people, my relatives ask me also, oh, you must have seen whole of America. I'm like, what I'm going to see in America? What is there? Basically, yes, it's beautifully maintained. I'm not talking about that. But sea beaches or mountains or gardens or parks, what else is there to see? But even if I go and see mountain, what difference is it going to make to me? Okay, yeah, it's a mountain, it's Krishna's energy, but let's sit down and chant. That will make me happy. But yes, everybody has their own way of enjoying. Tasmadasakta satatam karyam karma samachara asakto hi achara karma parmapanoti purusha. Therefore, without being attached to the fruits of activities, one should act as a matter of duty. For by working without attachment, one attains the supreme. So one should act as a matter of duty. The Supreme is the personality of Godhead for the devotees and liberation for the impersonalist. So for impersonalists or Nirakarvadis, for them the Supreme is liberation, moksha. But for devotees, is the personality of Godhead, and even not just the personality of Godhead, it is service, loving devotion service. That is the supreme thing for us. A person, therefore, acting for Krishna or in Krishna consciousness under proper guidance and without attachment to the result of the work is certainly making progress towards the supreme goal of life. Arjuna is told that he should fight in the battle of Kurukshetra for the interest of Krishna, because Krishna wanted him to fight. To be a good man or non-violent man is a personal attachment, but to act on behalf of Supreme is to act without attachment to the result. So this is more important. I mean, one can be like, oh, I'm going to be good man. I'm a non-violent man, ahimsa, and this and that. But that is personal attachment. This is not what Krishna wants. We do whatever Krishna wants. That is a perfect action of the highest degree recommended by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna. To act on behalf of the Supreme. That's it. In the battle of Mahabharata, after understanding the whole Bhagavad Gita and imbibing the teachings, Arjuna started to fight. And when it was time to kill Karna, Karna was not on his chariot, he did not have any weapons. Krishna told Arjuna, kill him. And Arjuna just killed him. He did not hesitate. Of course, in the serial they show he hesitated, but he did not hesitate. Krishna ordered him, and that's it. He killed him. Whether one gets glorious or not glorious or gets infamy, if Krishna is pleased, that is a perfection. Krishna told whom he told? Yes, he told Yudhishthira Maharaj, tell Dronacharya, Ashwatthama is killed. Yudhishthira Maharaj hesitated for a while. I never spoken a lie. How can I speak a lie? But then he also told Ashwatthama is killed. Because of not lying, but because of his hesitation to lie, when Krishna is telling him to lie, Yudhishthira Maharaj had to go to hell. Even just for a second he had to go, but he had to go to hell. But then the question is, how do we know what does Krishna wants from us? What is it that he wants? That's where the question. With Arjuna, he is standing right there, giving him instructions. How do we know? So we know if we have a bona fide spiritual master to follow, who can guide us, what to do, what not to do. Prabhupada has given clear instructions in his books. Okay. Even if we don't know exactly at every moment what to do, what not to do, he has given us that, okay, chant 16 rounds every day, follow the 4 regulative principles. That's it. If we need to know something more, then he will guide us through somebody or whatever way he wants to guide us, he will guide us. But at least if we do that, then we will be in a position to understand how pure we have become and how Krishna wants from us. Vedic rituals like prescribed sacrifices are performed for purification of impious activities that were performed in the field of sense gratifications. But action in Krishna consciousness is transcendental to the reactions of good or evil work. A Krishna conscious person has no attachment for the results, but acts on behalf of Krishna alone. He engages in all kinds of activities, but is completely non-attached. See, Prabhupada, in his commentaries, so this chapter, third is Karma Yoga. Chapter 5 is Karma Yoga in Krishna consciousness. But Prabhupada brings those points already here in chapter 3 because he knows exactly what Krishna wants. That's why he wrote, his title is Bhagavad Gita as it is, as Krishna wants, not like as I think what he wants. So he brings it here. Okay, in the beginning line he says, Vedic rituals like prescribed sacrifices are performed for purification of impious activities that were performed in the field of sense gratification. That's right. But action in Krishna consciousness is this comes from 5th chapter. But Prabhupada knows what Krishna wants through this shloka also, so he brings in his purport what exactly Krishna needs. Means ultimately aim of Krishna is we should become devotees, become Krishna conscious. So all his purports, he'll bring us to that point only. Karmana hi samsiddhim asita janakadaya loka sangrame vapi sampashyan kartumarhasi. Kings such as Janak attained perfection solely by performance of prescribed duties. Therefore, just for the sake of educating the people in general, you should perform your work. Now, why Janak Maharaj? Where did he come from in Bhagavad Gita? But he is known, he is the only example Krishna has given in Bhagavad Gita. Kings such as Janak Maharaj attained perfection solely by performance of prescribed duties. Okay, Prabhupada writes, kings like Janak were all self-realized souls. Consequently, they had no obligation to perform the prescribed duties in the Vedas. Nonetheless, they performed all prescribed activities just to set examples for the people in general. Janak was the father of Sita and father-in-law of Lord Ram. Being a great devotee of the Lord, he was transcendently situated, but because he was the king of Mithila, a subdivision of Bihar province in India, he had to teach his subjects how to perform prescribed duties. So prescribed duties for the king. And since he was in Treta Yuga, so that time the prescribed duty was to do yagyas, big yagyas, Havan. Lord Krishna and Arjun, the Lord's eternal friend, had no need to fight in the battle of Kurukshetra, but they fought to teach people in general that violence is also necessary in a situation where good arguments fail. Before the battle of Kurukshetra, every effort was made to avoid the war, even by the Supreme Personality of God. But the other party was determined to fight. So, for such a right cause, there is a necessity for fighting. Although one who is situated in Krishna consciousness may not have any interest in the world, he still works to teach the public how to live and how to act. Experienced persons in Krishna consciousness can act in such a way that others will follow, and this is explained in the following verses. So Janak Maharaj, as Prabhupada said, he was self-realized soul. He didn't need to perform any prescribed duties. Prescribed duties for a Kshatriya, for a household, for a king. He did everything. And at the same time, he used to do all these yagyas, big yagyas. And obviously, that is one of the reasons he became father of Mother Sita and father-in-law of Lord Ram. Krishna was really pleased with his services. So basically, Krishna is telling Arjuna, you should perform your prescribed duty, although you don't have to. Krishna, and as a Prabhupada said, Krishna and Arjuna, they didn't need to fight in the battle of Kurukshetra, but to set an example, they did. Yadyadacharti shveshtas tattateve taro jana sayat pramanam kurute lokastad anuvartate. Whatever action a great man performs, common men follow. And whatever standards he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. Very, very important shloka. A great man, whatever action a great man performs, Krishna doesn't say whatever words he speaks, common men follow. No. They follow whatever actions he is performing. People in general always require a leader who can teach the public by practical behavior. A leader cannot teach the public to stop smoking if he himself smokes. Very good example. In fact, there's an example of a doctor, and a mother took her son to the doctor and told, as a doctor, to tell her son the problems if he eats too much chocolate, and it's sugar and the whole problems. She said, he doesn't listen to me, at least he will listen to you. Doctor said, okay, you go back, you come back after a week. So they went back after a week, and doctor then told the child, do not eat chocolate, it's very bad for you. And this or this. Mother said, you could have said the same thing 1 week ago. Why did you wait for 1 week? Doctor said, because I was addicted to eating chocolate. So I could not tell this boy, you should not eat chocolate if I'm eating chocolate. So the leader means teaches the public by his practical behavior, not just by words. But then many times people ask, then how do we follow Krishna? Do we follow his words or do we follow his behavior? Because here it says we have to follow his behavior. We see his words in Bhagavad Gita, or right now we are also studying Uddhav Gita in Srimad Bhagavatam. Wonderful instructions. We should follow those. But his behavior, if we understand it properly in Tattva, Krishna will say in 4th chapter, Janma Karma Chame Divyam Evam Yoveti Tattvata Tyakta Deham Punarjan Neti Mameti Swarjana. Means Janma Karma Chame Divyam. My birth and my activities are all transcendental. Evam Yoveti Tattvata, one who knows this in truth. So this is where the key is, one who knows them in truth. Like people want to imitate is dancing with the gopis in Ras Leela. Because, Krishna did, we can follow. Well, Krishna also lifted Govardhan Hill. He also danced on hoods of serpent Kalia. So can we do that? But even the Ras Leela, which is the most misunderstood and most confidential pastime of Krishna, we don't know the truth. First, we have to learn the truth about Krishna's pastimes. Then we think of following him. Otherwise, we follow his instructions. A leader cannot teach the public to stop smoking if he himself smokes. Lord Chaitanya said that a teacher should behave properly before he begins teaching. One who teaches in that way is called Acharya, or the ideal teacher. Therefore, a teacher must follow the principles of Shastra, scripture, to teach the common man. Teacher cannot manufacture rules against the principles of revealed scriptures. The revealed scriptures like Manu Samhita and the similar others are considered the standard books to be followed by human society. Thus, a leader's teaching should be based on the principles of such standard Shastras. One who desires to improve himself must follow the standard rules as a practiced by the great teachers. The Srimad Bhagavatam also affirms that one should follow in the footsteps of great devotees, and that's a way of progress on the path of spiritual realization. The king or the executive head of a state, the father and school teacher are all considered to be natural leaders of innocent people in general. All such natural leaders have a common responsibility to the dependents. Therefore, they must be conversant with standard book of moral and spiritual codes. So as natural leaders, so king or the executive head, father, mother also, school teacher, or in general, people who have made some name, like spiritual or religious leaders, they have to have proper way of living because people are following them. People watch them day in and day out. And as Prabhupada says, one cannot make up his own rule book. Teacher cannot manufacture rules against the principles of revealed scriptures. So Manu Sahita or other scriptures have given rules how one should behave. And that's what people follow. So this is what Krishna is telling Arjuna. You're a Kshatriya, you're a king, you're a warrior, you're a Grihastha. You cannot just run away, take sannyas, this is too much, so I'm just going to run away. What will people do? People will follow you. And then that will be that will lead to real Varna Sankar, the problem in the society. Name parthasti kartavyam trishu lokeshu kinchana nana vaptama vaptavyam varta eva cha karmani. Now Krishna tells about himself. O son of Pritha, there is no work prescribed for me within all the three planetary systems. Nor am I in want of anything, nor have I a need to obtain anything. And yet, I'm engaged in prescribed duties. So Krishna is giving his own example. There is no prescribed duty for me. I don't need anything. I don't want anything. Still, I do my duties. Like he did his duties perfectly when he was living in Dwarka. Of course, he was in Vrindavan, then he was also perfect. But his Vrindavan pastimes, it's difficult to understand. But Dwarka pastimes, perfect. He was living as a king, as a warrior, as a husband, as a father, grandfather. He did all his duties. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is described in the Vedic literatures as follows. The Supreme Lord is a controller of all other controllers, and he is the greatest of all the diverse planetary leaders. Everyone is under his control. All entities are delegated with particular power only by the Supreme Lord. They are not supreme themselves. He is also worshipable by all demigods and is a supreme director of all directors. Therefore, he is transcendental to all kinds of material leaders and controllers and is worshipable by all. There is no one greater than him, and he is the supreme cause of all causes. That is Supreme Lord. He does not possess a bodily form like that of an ordinary living entity. There is no difference between his body and his soul. He is absolute. All his senses are transcendental, and any one of his senses can perform the action of any other sense. Therefore, no one is greater than him or equal to him. His potencies are multifarious, and thus his deeds are automatically performed as a natural sequence. So that is Supreme Lord. That is Bhagavan. So not just, first of all, none of us is Bhagavan, and we are never going to become Bhagavan. That's what Mayavadi says. But at the same time, these are just some of the characteristics of Bhagavan given here. Some. And even that is so great. Since everything is in full opulence in the personality of Godhead and is existing in full truth, there is no duty for the Supreme Personality of Godhead to perform. So we perform duties, Varnashram duties. Krishna is beyond that. We perform duties because we need something, we want something. Something is lacking in us. Money or educate, knowledge or anything. Krishna is full of all these opulences. He doesn't need anything. But he still does his duties. One who must receive the results of work has some designated duty, but one who has nothing to achieve within the three planetary systems certainly has no duty. And yet Lord Krishna is engaged on the battlefield of Kurukshetra as a leader of the Kshatriyas, because the Kshatriyas are duty bound to give protection to the distressed. Although he is above all the regulations of the revealed scriptures, he does not do anything that violates the revealed scriptures. There are some apparent contradictions. These are all apparent. So if we know in truth, if we try to understand in truth in the right way through bona fide spiritual master, then we'll know there is no contradiction. Whatever he does is exactly according to the scriptures. So he engaged in the battlefield of Kurukshetra as a leader of the Kshatriyas, because he himself told that I'm not going to fight. But he was a leader of all the Kshatriyas on the Pandava side. And why? Because Dharma had to be protected and Dharma had to be established. And for the Kshatriyas, the Dharma is to give protection to the distressed. And Duryodhana and party, first they cheated and then they took over the kingdom of Pandavas. And so this wasn't the right thing to do. And Dharma had to be established also means Dharmaraj or Yudhishthira Maharaj had to be established so that he can rule properly according to the scriptures. Duryodhana was also a good administrator, but he wasn't ruling according to scriptures. That's where the problem was. Further, Krishna says, Yadi hiyam na varteyam jatu karmani yatantrita mama vartamanu vartante manushya partha sarvasha. For if I ever fail to engage in carefully performing prescribed duties, so Partha, certainly all men would follow my path. So that is also, that is the reason he performs his duties properly. In order to keep the balance of social tranquility for progress in spiritual life, there are traditional family usages meant for every civilized man. Although such rules and regulations are for the conditioned souls and not Lord Krishna, because he descended to establish the principles of religion, he followed the prescribed rules. Otherwise, common men would follow in his footsteps because he is the greatest authority. From the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is understood that Lord Krishna was performing all the religious duties at home and out of home as required of a householder. So he wasn't just like, I can do whatever I want because I'm the Supreme Lord. No, he had to set an example, and he did. And further he says, Utsi deyu rime loka na kuryam karma chetaham sankarasya cha kartasyam uphanyam ima praja. If I did not perform prescribed duties, all these worlds would be put to ruination. I would be the cause of creating unwanted population. That is a Varn Sankar that Arjuna was afraid of. And I would thereby destroy the peace of all living beings. So, unwanted population. Varn Shankar is the unwanted population which disturbs the peace of the general society. Because as we studied earlier, so unwanted population means either children born out of wedlock or children not born according to the by doing proper what is called sanskar. Then they disturb the peace of the general society because they themselves don't follow any scriptures if they're not born out of properly, and so what to do? Who are they going to follow? In order to check this social disturbance, there are prescribed rules and regulations by which the population can automatically become peaceful and organized for spiritual progress in life. So real goal is a spiritual progress, not just have peace in the society. But if the population is following the spiritual path, there'll automatically be peace and happiness in the society. When Lord Krishna descends, naturally he deals with such rules and regulations in order to maintain the prestige and necessity of such important performances. The Lord is a father of all living entities, and if the living entities are misguided, indirectly the responsibility goes to the Lord. Therefore, whenever there is a general disregard of regulative principles, the Lord himself descends and corrects the society. We should, however, note carefully that although we have to follow in the footsteps of the Lord, we still have to remember that we cannot imitate him. So follow in the footsteps doesn't mean we imitate him, that we cannot. Following and imitating are not on the same level. We cannot imitate the Lord by lifting Govardhan Hill, as the Lord did in his childhood. It is impossible for any human being. We have to follow his instructions, but we may not imitate him at any time. Similarly, like Lord Shiva, to speak of Krishna, Lord Shiva, we cannot imitate him. That also his so-called followers, they say, "Our Shivji smokes ganja, and then we can also smoke ganja." But Shivji also drank that whole ocean of poison. Can we even drink one drop of that poisonous ocean? Shivji also keeps snakes around his neck. Can we do that? Shivji lives in crematorium. He puts ashes on his body and he wears sometimes a garland of skulls. Can we do that? So how can we say we are or how can we say we are followers of Shivji and that by smoking ganja we'll become followers? No. So we follow the instructions. Shivji does all these things, living in crematorium, skulls, snakes, and all these things, so that normal, common, ordinary people, they stay away from him and leave him alone. And it shows us his renunciation, his opulence of renunciation. But we don't try to follow that renunciation part. We want to just smoke ganja. That's not following Shivji. Prabhupada also says one should simply follow the instructions of the Lord and his empowered servants. Their instructions are all good for us, and any intelligent person will perform them as instructed. However, one should guard against trying to imitate their actions. One should not try to drink the ocean of poison in imitation of Lord Shiva. We should always consider the position of the Ishwaras, or those who can actually control the movements of the sun and moon, as superior. Without such power, one cannot imitate the Ishwaras, or who are super powerful. Lord Shiva drank poison to the extent of swallowing an ocean. But if any common man tries to drink even a fragment of such poison, he will be killed. There are many pseudo devotees of Lord Shiva who want to indulge in smoking ganja and similar intoxicating drugs, forgetting that by so imitating the acts of Lord Shiva, they are calling death very near. Similarly, there are some pseudo devotees of Lord Krishna who prefer to imitate the Lord in his Ras Leela or dance of love, forgetting the inability to lift Govardhan Hill. It's best, therefore, that one not try to imitate the powerful, but simply follow their instructions. Nor should one try to occupy the posts without qualifications. There are so many quote unquote incarnations of God without the power of the Supreme Lord. So people want to enjoy the benefits, fringe benefits that come with that power or that position, but they cannot. They cannot have the power of the Lord. It's just like somebody plays a part of Krishna in a serial. Of course, like Mahabharata serial, very, very popular. Nitish Bharadwaj, who played the part of Krishna, he became very popular as Krishna. But he's not Krishna. People respect him. Some people touch his feet, touch the feet of Arun Govil, who played the part of Lord Ram in Ramayana. But they did not play the part so people touch the feet. They played the part properly, very nicely, and probably they had mercy of Krishna and Ram when they played the part, and people got moved by their acting skills. So, because these people reminded us of Lord Ram and Krishna, and that's why people give their respects. They still do. But those actors, they did not try to become Ram. Oh, I have played the part of Ram, now I am Ram. You should worship me. So they're not that way. But there are cheaters. There are so many cheaters all over. Oh, we have special powers from Krishna, or I can do this, and so you should come and worship me, and I'll give you benedictions, and nothing will happen. By getting some yogic powers, nobody becomes Krishna or Ram. So we have to follow the instructions, not imitate them, and not try to take over the position of Krishna or Ram. And then we are living properly. So I guess I can stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments?
Class, Prabhuji. Wonderful.
Hare Krishna, brother. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Repeating sessions here.
Thank you, Prabhuji. I'm sorry I joined late.
Thank you, Mataji. No, there's no problem. Okay, so I can stop here. You all have a safe and wonderful day. Have a wonderful month of Kartik. Hari Om.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Same to
Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji.